No Direction Home is the informal Soho directors community. Find us at nodirectionhome.com.
Has everyone seen Ghost in the Shell? The new one? Has everyone seen the original animation-ish? So I was a massive Masamune Shirow fan. So I came to the project with mixed feelings. But I wasn't going to turn down Ghost in the Shell because, you know, it's a great visual feast, if anything. We actually came quite late to Ghost in the Shell, but the casting, I don't think, had actually been announced. And it was threading that needle, because we wanted to make something that is so tricky, because it's an animation that resonates on so many different levels with a lot of different people, and to do a Hollywood live action version of that is a fun challenge as a creative person. You know, you really want to win that. But equally, you want to make it relevant to an audience now. So in a similar way to Blade Runner, you know, we were being very mindful of us all being fans.
Both of them have like previous iterations that people like.
Yeah. So don't screw this up was kind of the mantra for both of those projects, and we just had to do beautiful work that felt relevant. And it was a really interesting, you know, kind of mental exercise, because Rupert, the director, just loved this idea of solid holograms. And what does advertising and religious symbolism and technology, and how does all this make a statement about where we're heading or where we are and what's going on in the world? I think Rupert saw it in that way. I mean, one of my first questions always to a director is, what's your point? What is it that you want to say here? Because you're about to invest 2 to 3 years of a lot of energy. What are we helping you do? What is it that you want to say? And Rupert was really interested in this idea of Neo Tokyo and this kind of cultural mix. You know, it is religion meeting commercial imagery, meeting the architecture and the kind of, you know, the landscape of that city. And we got to play around with some just cool ideas. Shall I get to some stuff?
Do you have some visual things? Yeah.
Right, get all that. Boring. There you go. So, I was reading Ghost in the Shell as a teenager, and we got the notion that nothing could be flat. That no screen or display or graphic or sign could be flat. It all had to be dimensional. So we had this idea of a hologlobe, which we explored for months conceptually, lots of different versions of it, and how we might. So it's like a TV monitor or a computer display, but it isn't, because it's all volume, it's all 3-dimensional. So we had to think, well, how does it work in the wide shot? How does it work in close? Does it still hold up? Is it interesting? We love this idea of digital sand, so it has a physicality to it. It could be blown by the wind, it could be disturbed. How does it still read? Are we distracting from Scarlet, or does it, balance well in shot? And then we kind of came up to these solid holograms, which needed to populate the entire city, and it needed to be as photoreal as possible, but it still needed to read as a hologram. So there was a real balancing act there, and playing with scale and kind of capturing little glimpses of different moments as you kind of going wide and then going in close.
Was this a specific film? Was this like a sort of a new space for you in terms of like doing more than like UI? Like, was this like something where you made a step forward in terms of territory?
Yeah, it was. So all of those people that you see there were captured volumetrically. So what that means is, instead of capturing a flat image of you, we actually capture a 3-dimensional mesh of you with all the color and all the geometry all in one go at 50 frames per second. So suddenly we have an animated version of you that we can use in all sorts of different ways within that city skyline. I mean, it was literally hundreds, if not maybe thousands of concepts. We were running at it for months and months, and quite a large team. And it was everything, you know, as mundane as street signs and bus stops and donut advertising and Nike and Adidas commercials, and how that fits around the architecture, and what's its relation to the buildings, and then just obscure humour. And this is a volumetric capture. That's what it looks like. It's still quite noisy. It's quite it's still a bit of technology that's kind of in R&D really, with a couple of different teams. But it was really useful for this because it looked true to the nature of what maybe a hologram might be created like. And this idea of artificial intelligence and downloading your consciousness to a robotic body, obviously cyber hacking kind of becomes a really big theme. And this is, I tell this story at every single talk, and I'm never going to let it go. Holographic umbrellas, I think, are a genius idea. Should be in a movie at some point soon. I'm going to keep working at it. So you have to kind of explore these rooms from lots of different angles, and I think we push it through to almost what looks like a final shot whenever we're versioning this up. But lots of different things are changing in this shot over a period of time. I don't even want to know what the version was on this shot. I don't think it's on there. But there was lots. And it's all using design to build up those worlds, and so that you don't even think, that it wasn't actually shot in Tokyo, but it was shot in Hong Kong. It's just building up those layers, and hopefully you just don't think about it. But it's that depth of thought that we really actually learnt from the costume department. Just research, and through that research, your work will have so much more depth, so much more meaning. It will be less about a designer ego or a creative ego, and it will be more about what's relevant to the work that you're doing.
No Direction Home is the informal Soho directors community. Find us at nodirectionhome.com.